An entitled Karen tries to force me to babysit her child despite having never met her or her child ever in my life. And when I said no, this lady freaked out on me. Here's what happened. So I was on a client's boat to take measurements for a job that they'd like me to do. The place they're docked is along a lovely sidewalk that is open to the public. I was on the front deck when I heard a family walk by. I was aware of them, but I didn't look up. That is, until I heard a shrill voice call for me.
Excuse me.
It spooked me as they were so close. So I looked up and there was a mother and a child standing on the sidewalk in front of the boat. I looked at them and said, "Sorry, you snuck up on me. Can I help you?" Sometimes people stop to ask me for directions to a bathroom or they're just curious about what I'm doing. So randomly striking up a conversation isn't super uncommon. I'm happy to help or even just to have a bit of conversation. This entitled Karen looks me square in the eye and says,
"Hey, can you watch my kid for a minute?"
No explanation, no greeting, nothing. I was stunned into silence for a second while my brain tried to process what she just said. The mother then interjected before I even had a chance to try and make a response. She said,
"It's okay. She can just hang out on your boat with you."
And again, completely flabbergasted. She can do what? Her child looked to be kindergarten age, maybe even younger. Before she could start walking toward the pier, I finally snapped out of it and gained enough brain power to speak up. I said to her, sorry, no, this isn't my boat." Then she says,
"Oh, well, whose boat is this?"
and as I was explaining that this is my client's boat, she then demands that whoever it is that owns this boat needs to come out right now so she can talk to him. I then had to raise my voice just a little bit and say, "Ma'am, I'm working." And I said this while holding up a bunch of measuring tools, just to try and prove that I wasn't lying. But this entitled Karen was not having it. She then tried to excuse it by saying that it would just be a minute. And at this point, I was appalled. I told her again, "Sorry, no, I cannot do that." I was about to say more, but she interrupted me again before I could continue.
"Well, can you get off the boat and just watch her here then?"
Again, completely shocked and absolutely stunned. "I am working," I said a bit slower. "I'm sure my boss wouldn't appreciate me watching some stranger's kids while I'm on the clock." Again, I was about to say more, but her child was whining and pulling violently on her mother's hand. And that finally snapped this entitled Karen out of her stupor. She just said,
"Fine,"
snapping suddenly and dragging her child away up the steps. I'm not gonna lie, it was a really odd and unnerving situation, and my heart was beating really fast afterwards. I am in complete shock. Boats and docks are not a safe place for children, especially without a life jacket, and a strange child at that. I don't know if they can swim or what their history is of water, and what about their behavior? Will they listen to any of my instructions or directions? Why would you give your child to a complete stranger working in a place that is not safe or suitable for kids? And while someone's working, next time I'm gonna see if the owner of the boat can reverse their boat into the dock so that I won't have to face the general public and possibly be volunteered as somebody's babysitter ever again. This is crazy to me. This entitled Karen was ready to have some stranger babysit their child. I mean, how bad of a parent do you have to be to insinuate that anything like that would be okay for your kid? And this guy had it right. This kid could have seriously gotten hurt or worse. And the last thing you need is for you to be liable for that, all because you said yes to some weird entitled Karen. So good for the original poster for denying this entitled Karen right from the get-go, because otherwise this really could have been bad. My best friend is in love with me, and I don't know how to deal with this situation. I've known my friend John since we were kids, all the way back until kindergarten. We weren't always close, but through the years, he has become someone I love and care for deeply. He is just one of the best people I've ever had the chance to meet, and I value his friendship. The first time he confessed that he liked me was in senior year in high school, which was about 5 years ago. I was messed up, and I was pining for someone else at the time, and he knew this, and I felt so bad that I couldn't reciprocate how he felt. I even cried over the situation at the time. He just hugged me and said it wasn't a big deal, and that he knew I didn't like him that way, but that he just wanted me to know. After that, we went to different colleges, but still talked and would meet up from time to time, sometimes alone, sometimes with our friends. I heard he had crushes in college, and even got himself some girlfriends through the years, and I was happy for him. I was happy that he moved on and that I had my friends back. The second time he confessed was 2 years ago. I was moving on from a previous relationship, which was my first one, so he again told me that he loved me, and that he just wanted me to know and didn't expect me to like him back. We still talked and went out, and he said he liked hanging out with me, and that he didn't need space as he knew my position, and I believed him. Again, I heard through mutual friends that he went out with other girls, so I assumed it was just a passing thing. Then, last year, he decided to hit the gym. He started a new diet, got a job job, and just overall improved himself. He told me he decided he was going to challenge himself and go after the things he wanted. I was happy for him and really proud. That is until I realized that I was a part of this challenge. He started courting me, like properly. He said that he wasn't, and that he was only being a good best friend, but he started buying me flowers just because he wanted to, and asked me to hang out alone on a weekly basis. I couldn't text him things like what I was craving at the time food-wise, because he would actually get me whatever I was talking about, and he would personally deliver it to me despite the fact that I live nowhere near him. I couldn't call him my bestie, or send him memes that said friend in it without him pouting. And again, just like before, he confessed how he feels, but this time he said that he loves me. He said it's been years, and even his past girlfriends and other situations never made him feel like he does when he's around me. I told him again that I didn't like him that way, and that maybe we should distance ourselves for a while, as I wasn't comfortable anymore. I wanted a friend and not a suitor. Thankfully, he agreed. We didn't talk for about 6 months, and he actually blocked me on everything for a while. I missed him, but I also knew it was the right thing. We got to talk about a month ago, and he basically said that all these months with no contact were for nothing, and that he still felt the same way about me, which is just honestly baffling to me. He also said that because the no contact didn't really work, that there's no reason for us to keep talking to each other and hanging out like we used to. He swears up and down that he really doesn't care if I don't like him that way, that he's absolutely fine and at peace with it, but he just can't help himself to treat me special in the way that he does because he wants me to make me happy and to spoil me, and that I should just let him do it because I can't change the way he feels, so I shouldn't want to change the way he acts. But I'm not comfortable with this, and I don't think it's healthy. I feel like I need to censor myself in the way I talk and treat him because I don't want to give him false hope. Several times in the past, I've tried to see him that way, and he is a really good person and a good catch, and anyone would be lucky to have him, and he definitely knows how to charm a girl, but I just don't feel that way. He's like family to me, not a boyfriend. Part of me believes that he doesn't actually care, and that I should just enjoy my time with him, because if 6 months of no contact doesn't help the situation, then nothing is going to. But on the other side of this, I am terrified of hurting him, and I already know that I'm hurting him by not reciprocating how he feels, but if he can't change the way he feels, then neither can I. My question basically is there anything that I can do to save the friendship? I honestly don't want to lose him, but I'm not sure what to do. The way your supposed friend is acting is really creepy in my opinion. He is obviously not respecting your boundaries of you saying, hey, I don't like you like that. He's clearly madly in love with you, and he wants to try and take this relationship further. In fact, he proved this by trying to make you a part of his weird challenge to improve himself. Like, sure, improve your body, your health, your job, whatever, but don't drag someone else into that as if there's some kind of prize to be won. That's really disrespectful in my opinion. This will never be any kind of true friendship. It's very much going to be one-sided, and he's obviously in love with you and you just don't feel the same way about it. And no matter how hard you try and explain it to him, it doesn't sound like he wants to change. So in my opinion, I think it's time for you two to part ways. There's no point in trying to keep him around as a friend if he's going to be disrespectful to your boundaries and completely ignore your wishes. And your wishes are simply that you don't like him like that, and that you don't want to be spoiled or treated differently, but that you just want to be a friend. And he does not want that. So in my opinion, that's your answer for this situation. Because otherwise, this behavior is only going to continue, as it looks like this guy simply does not get the message. Am I allowed to feel emotionally cheated on after what my boyfriend did? My boyfriend of almost 5 years and I have been through a lot of rough patches, and we promised each other to work on ourselves by going to therapy to make our relationship healthier and lasting. Recently, my boyfriend started going into the office to work and met a girl from a different department who actually recruited him into the company. When he told me this, I was so happy and encouraged them to be friends and to let me know all about her role since I'm in the same industry as her. Ever since then, my boyfriend has come home late without notice from being out drinking with coworkers, including her. He also mentioned that they're close friends, even though they've only known each other for 3 days, and looked her up on the company directory to find her socials and to follow her on Instagram. The first night he was home late, I expressed my concern for his safety as our city is getting more unsafe each day downtown, and he apologized for not letting me know where he was and when he'd come home, which is no big issue for me. But the next day he did the same thing and was out until 1 in the morning without notice. He even turned off his phone and tried to claim that it shut off so I wouldn't be able to reach him. Being a person with anxiety, I spiraled into a panic attack, thinking about the worst case scenario about his safety. Eventually, he did finally respond to my call while he was drunk and slurring his words that he took an Uber to a different town to continue hanging out with his 3 coworkers in this girl's building. In fact, he hid in the bathroom just to pick up his phone. My gut feeling instantly kicked in as I didn't trust what he was doing or saying. I asked for some proof to please show me that he was with more than just her, just to ease my anxiety. But when I asked this simple request, he refused. Later, when he came home, he refused to tell me about their relationship and went home after I broke up with him. The next day, I found out he called her immediately after breaking up with me, and he told her that she's a great thing that happened to him. I also found out he canceled his meetings to have lunch with her at the office. And when I requested to see this, at first he refused to show me, claiming that he had nothing to hide, even though that's exactly what he did. I feel betrayed, angry, heartbroken, and stupid for trusting him. I feel emotionally cheated on. For context, he's been cheated on twice in the past, so I didn't expect this from him. Am I the jerk for breaking things off and believing I was emotionally cheated on? He will admit to it and then take it back just to call me crazy. I also found out that he kept in touch as well as emailed back and forth with a former friend of his about getting back together while in a previous relationship, which makes me lose even more respect for him. I would also like to point out that I have no hard feelings towards his friend and coworker, and even reached out to her to let her know this, but I do have a problem with him. What should I do? This is a terrible situation because the boyfriend blatantly cheated on his girlfriend. There's no ambiguity here. He was straight up cheating. He would even admit it and then take it back just to call her crazy. These are all manipulation tactics if you ask me. He is the jerk in this situation. He was unfaithful, and if he could have gotten away with it, you better believe he would have hidden this from you. So I honestly don't blame you for preemptively breaking up with him, and you are truly going to be so much better without him. You are quite literally dropping the garbage off at the corner, and you can move on with confidence and happiness. Imagine staying with someone like that while they're cheating on you. Like you completely made the right choice in this situation. So give it a few weeks or even a few months, and eventually I think you'll be able to see that it really is for the best that you get away from this dirtbag, because you deserve so much better than this. I saw something very sketchy on my girlfriend's phone, and now I'm not sure how to feel about it. My girlfriend and I have been seeing each other for about 8 months. I was about a year out of a 10-year relationship when we met, and she had been single for 6 years. So we both have been playing the Tinder game, and we've both spent a lot of quality time with a bunch of other people before we met, which I understand and I'm not mad about. But we had a bit of an argument a few months ago about one of the people that I had spent some quality time with and how they were asking to hang out or go to lunch or just to walk her dog. My girlfriend wasn't comfortable with that, so I deleted that person's contacts and I haven't spoken to her since. This will be important later. So I was lying in bed this morning while my girlfriend was letting the dog out, and for some reason I had the urge to check her phone. Now I have never done that before, and I had trusted her completely until that point. I go to her Snapchat and the very first message is from a guy. I can't see his message, but her reply from yesterday basically says that she's still at work. And at this point, I'm just curious as to what's going on. So I scroll up and I see saved messages from January, which is a week before we met. And these messages are very explicit. But personally, I'm not mad about that, as I know it was before we met. But I just feel that after she blew up at me for talking to the girl I used to spend some time with, and after I respected her feelings and deleted that person forever and cut off all communication, I now feel very hurt and I feel like I've been lied to. She's told me before about getting messages from guys she used to see about getting together, but she tells them that she has a boyfriend now. But she's never mentioned getting messages off of this guy before. This is completely new territory for me. I do love her and I trust her, and I don't think she spent any quality time with anybody ever since we've gotten together. But seeing that on Snapchat has put doubt in my mind. I don't want to end things, and she's explained over and over that they were friends for 6 years before they ever spent quality time together. When I asked what the difference was between her situation and mine, she basically said it's because I met this girl off of an app, whereas the person that she was talking to was already a friend that she had known, and it's someone that she's known for quite a long time in her life. I do trust her and I love her, but I can't help but feeling really hurt right now. What should I do? It sounds like your girlfriend's trying to have some kind of weird double standard. If you can't talk to any other person from your past, then honestly, I don't think she should be allowed to either. It sounds like this is some kind of weird friends with benefit thing that she's clearly been hiding from you, and it's only just now coming to light, which in my opinion is a deal breaker, because that shows that she is not loyal to you at all, and this is not someone that you would want to spend the rest of your life with. I would not be able to trust anybody who would do that to me. So for me personally, there's no way I would let this relationship continue. And the worst part about it is, she probably knows that this is absolutely a double standard, because she's obviously being a hypocrite at this point. So I think you need to have a very serious conversation with her about where you see this relationship going, because otherwise this is just going to cause a bigger rift between the two of you. And if that's the case, I really don't see this relationship working out. My older brother sees us as rivals, but I simply don't see it that way, and now I don't know what to do. My relationship with my older brother feels less friendly and supportive than it used to. Our dynamic now is like a competitive sibling rivalry that I never even wanted. We've got each other's back at the end of the day, but I've always been closer to my younger brother, who is good-humored and less of a dominant personality. For most of our lives, we had the same level of education and job status. Things got weird when I cashed in my GI Bill education benefits to go to grad school. When I invited my brothers to graduation, my little brother was happy and excited for the ceremony, but I was surprised and disappointed when my big brother said he wasn't interested in coming. Basically, I had to beg him just to convince him to attend. He literally said the only ceremony worth attending is a Navy SEAL graduation, which, sorry bro, but I'm not a Navy SEAL. Keep in mind, I attended his last graduation ceremony. Afterward, I studied for an important exam, and I needed to pass this to get a job. At the time, I left a job to solely focus on studying. My big brother nagged me for not working while I studied and called me a bum. Ultimately, I passed the exam and got a job that is considered higher status than his own. He's been somewhat weird about the new career, but nothing I can really disarm. My big brother also acted weird when I got a car that's newer and nicer than his. He's more disagreeable too now and goes out of his way to highlight areas of his life that are more ideal than mine. Based on the timing of his behavior, it seems my success is making my big brother feel less important or overall just inadequate. As a result, he treats me with less warmth and encouragement than I enjoyed in the past. To me, competitive people are typically insecure. They don't feel good enough, which manifests itself in the competitive persona. It's really just upsetting that he can't just be happy for me, which my little brother does instinctively. How do I undo this unwanted rivalry and return to our old friendly brotherhood? What's the best way to convey that I've noticed this to my big brother and that I want him to make some kind of improvement? What should I do? The first thing I realized when reading through this is that you can't undo what's in other people's heads, because I think you have it right. People who act ultra competitive, well beyond what's appropriate, typically are very insecure people. I mean, think about it for a second. You have a better job than him now. You have a better car. You made the right decisions with studying instead of working. All of this just so you could pass that exam. And he took shots at you all along the way. He made it a point to try and put you down and make you feel like you're less than him, which is a really toxic thing to do no matter who you are. But it especially stings when it comes from someone who you love, especially from a brother. So unfortunately, I don't think there's anything you can do to force him to change his mind. I think if anything, you could talk to him and explain to him in a very neutral and calm voice that you feel like your relationship with him is straining and that you two are drifting apart. I think that's a fair thing to discuss with your sibling, especially if you want to try and keep the peace over the years. I've personally always adopted the attitude that other people's success is not my failure. So if someone gets a better job than me, that doesn't mean that I failed. It sounds like your brother's really comparing himself to you, so his way of kind of evening the playing field is by putting you down and making these snide remarks. So I think if anything, I would just control how you react to those situations and just not let him get to you. But hopefully he's at least willing to hear you out and see that this is really becoming a problem, because this is your brother after all. And obviously you want to have some kind of long-lasting relationship with someone you know you should be able to trust. My parents want to give me and my husband their home, but my husband refuses and gets upset when I bring up the idea. And at this point, I don't know what to do. My husband and I have been married for 8 years and have a little one and a home together. We both want a bigger house and have been looking for one for quite a while. In the meantime, my parents have offered to downsize and trade homes with us. Their home, which is my childhood home, is much bigger than ours. It's also on the water and has a decent school district, and it's worth about double our home. My husband, though, refuses to remotely even consider this option. The reason he cites as to why my parents' house is unacceptable is because it's my home and will never be our home. My parents have offered to allow us to indicate any changes we want done, and they will pay for the renovations so it can be ready for us to simply move into. The house we live in, I bought before we were married and have paid off on my own. And to be honest, I'm very proud of this. I'm a school teacher who also runs kid camps during the summer. My husband works at a packaging company, and he makes about half of what I make from my two jobs together. So here's where the main issue comes into play. Since my parents' house is off the table, we will now have to find and buy another house out of pocket. The housing market here has gone up a lot, and interest rates have gone up a lot too. So instead of being debt-free, we get to needlessly take on a new mortgage. I enjoy my summer job, but at the same time, as our kiddos get older, I might not want to work as much as I used to. Having a new mortgage puts puts me in a position where I feel that I will have to work a lot. If I bring up any of this to my husband, he completely shuts down and gets very frustrated with me. He always cites money doesn't mean anything to him, and having a family home is number one. I am so frustrated with this because I feel like I am the only realistic one in this family. I understand where he is coming from, but sometimes we have to do things we don't like in order to do what is best. And then I get stuck in my own logic, thinking that maybe he is right, and I need to do what is best by finding our own home and not my childhood home. What do I do? Do I press the issue for taking my parents' house, which he will never agree to? And if he does accept the house, he will just resent the house and me as a result? Or do I just go with getting a new house and dealing with the debt that will come along with it? I am trying not to be down on this, but I am stuck seeing things in my light. This is all very frustrating and I honestly don't know what to do. In my opinion, based on what you've described, your husband is being very selfish. I don't know what he's talking about when he says that this wouldn't be our home. Like, of course it would be your home. Who cares if your wife grew up in it? You have a free home on your hands. There would literally be no debt associated with it, and you could make that house your own. You could do whatever you want with it. You could tear down the walls and paint the entire thing neon green if you wanted to. Like, who cares? This guy would rather take on hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, all because he's too prideful to take another person's home. Like, his logic literally does not make any sense to me. So in my opinion, this original poster is 100% in the right. Like, it only makes sense with the budget and the finances that they have to quite literally switch homes with her parents. Like, if somebody came to me and said, hey, I'll take your apartment and you take my house. By the way, we'll renovate it for you. I would jump at that tomorrow. There's no way I would say no to that, especially with all of the perks that are being described by this original poster. This is an easy decision, and there's no reason why you can't just take this house and then use it as leverage to sell it and buy another house. Like, why wouldn't your husband see this as a stepping stone to getting a house that he could call his own? This could be so beneficial to both of your portfolios. So hopefully this situation works out, because there's no good reason, in my opinion, to not take this deal, as it literally is only going to benefit him and his family. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, use the playlist at the top of the description. And the next time you live stream, use the Cream of the Crop music. Search Cream of the Stream on Spotify or whatever platform you use for copyright-free music to use for your next stream.